I'd never done a hike like this before. We were in Rocky Mountain Park, and the summit was over 11,000 feet. Middle of October, winter conditions. I really wasn't sure what to expect. The last time I tried something like this was Long's Peak about 8 years ago, and I was not prepared. I didn't have the proper gear, and I was getting blown off my feet. We turned around in the boulder field. It was crazy. For this hike, though, I was ready. Driving to Estes to see all the elk was incredible. I've actually never been up here when they're crossing, even though they're impossible to miss this time of year. They're so majestic, just casually walking in front of you. I joked with Tony that Estes must be a mandatory stop on their migration route because you can't drive through town without running into a herd. We made it into Rocky Mountain Park. We were a little late for the golden leaves and peak fall colors, but there were still some really beautiful patches. We'd gotten up pretty early. The sun was bouncing off the hills. It was gorgeous. I was a bit concerned that we didn't get up early enough, though. When we were driving in, Glacier Gorge Trailhead, where we were supposed to start the hike from, was full. The sign also said Bear Lake Trailhead was full. But we kept driving, and it turns out it actually wasn't. Since it was during the government shutdown, they probably didn't have the staff to update the signage. It's been a long time since I've been to Bear Lake. We started the hike. It was cold, but I had all my gear ready. We hadn't eaten breakfast, so honestly, we were a little bit grumpy at the trailhead. Not sniping at each other, just that tired, slightly nauseous way you get when you've gotten up earlier than you're used to and you feel unsettled. But that cleared up once we started hiking. The snow was light and beautiful, and we got going early enough that the tourists weren't overwhelming on the trail, which is exactly how I like it. I would never go up to Alberta Falls in peak season because it's packed, but this time of year, you actually get to enjoy it.
How's your breakfast?
It's adequate. Stuffy, I can't breathe through my nose. Also, altitude. Why am I so winded? That's why. After a protein bar, I was feeling much better. We passed Alberta Falls and kept climbing. It really started to feel like we were getting into something special. The scenery is unreal, even watching it back now. There's nothing like being out there in the middle of nowhere, staring up at a sheer cliff face you're about to climb, because apparently you're a bit nuts. Pretty. Do you think we're going up that?
Uh-huh.
Kind of like an AZ, where we were like, that can't be what we're climbing. And then, sure enough, it was 2,000 feet straight up. I think this is what we came down. No, it's not, because it was a deer trail. Never mind. It's going to split, and then there'll be the Longs Peak Trail.
Nice. Oh yeah, we came down a horse trail from Longs Peak.
Trail, yeah.
I think it's,
so I was like, we accidentally hiked into Bear Lake that one time years ago. That was miserable, but it was a beautiful hike. And I was like, maybe this is the trail, but it's not. Yeah, I remember hiking to the back of Bear Lake, sitting at that picnic table. It was like 10 a.m. We'd been hiking since 2 a.m. Being like, fuck, the car is so far away. Because we hiked, like we went up Longs Peak, decided to come back, took a wrong turn and went down this way. And so we ended up at Bear Lake and our car was all the way over here. 30-mile round trip. I think we did that the first year we were together.
yeah.
Bunch of dummies. Oh well, we sorted it out.
Not much has changed.
No. We have better gear now. A little bit more sense. We stop when we come to a trail split most of the time instead of just saying, that looks right and going. I love when the forest opens up suddenly and you get this big, sweeping view. It makes you think, look where I get to go. Look where I am. I'm going exploring today. Follow me, boys, follow me. This was our first time filming in a while, and I was feeling a bit awkward. Do I look at the camera? Should I not take footage on my phone? I decided just to let it unfold and do what I wanted. You're right. I said you film this time. The snow was starting to pick up as we entered this more forested area. Rushing water, snow under your feet, snow catching in your hair. It felt like a movie. Some of the crossings were a little sketchy.
Ooh.
Icy and water. But there's something so peaceful about pine trees, snow, and mountain water together. It was the calm before the storm.
Watch your step. God, I love it here.
We reached Mills Lake. It was overcast, so you couldn't see the mountains behind it at all, but it was still picturesque in its own way. It made me want to curl up by a warm fire in a log cabin. We passed a couple who said they turned around because of ice on the stairs, but really, it was just a little snow, and the trail was easy. We reached Jewel Lake, which is basically an extension of Mills Lake. It didn't look much like a jewel that day, mostly frozen, very gray, and not much visibility. And the weather was starting to shift. I was watching the sky and the mountains ahead thinking, I don't know about this. You do not want to get caught in a storm above the tree line. So I kept saying to Tony, we'll just see when we get there. I was really enjoying the hike. The forest up here was stunning.
Oh, it's a whole cluster of trees.
Eventually, we broke through to a wooden walkway and the mountains suddenly felt much closer. I ripped it the wrong way. Now we're committed.
There you go.
These are a lot better than they sounded last night. I was starting to get tired. The snow blew into my eyes. Then suddenly, there was a break in the clouds and sunlight hit the ridge. The wind was moving the clouds fast, and I thought, okay, we've got a shot. This might work out after all. We reached the turnoff for Solitude Lake after a bit of disagreement about where we were. The river crossing made me nervous. If we slipped and fell into this freezing water, we'd have to turn around right away and have a long, cold, miserable hike back.
Come this way more.
Is it time to buff up? We're gonna do this?
Probably.
Right after the crossing, the climb starts. We had more than 2,000 feet of elevation gain in the last mile.
Where's the hat?
Under your legs.
The wind down by the river was brutal. My hands were numb and burning from the cold. But the difference between this and the Long's Peak attempt years ago is that I had the right gear this time. I knew to expect things like wind gusts blowing me off my feet.
Alright, well I hope I'm happy with my situation because I'm not getting out of it for a while.
So up we went.
What are you caught on? Oh, hang on. Hang on.
I'm way caught.
I know. Wait. You got it. Almost. Okay, you're free. This is so much up.
The trail was hard to follow between the light blanket of snow and the fallen trees and brush. Every few minutes, I'd check the trail map to make sure we weren't veering too far off it. We climbed, checked the trail, climbed more. We climbed for a solid 15 minutes, and I thought we must have made some good progress when we hit an overlooked. I checked all trails, and our location dot on the map had barely moved. We really started looking for the cairns to mark the way. This was just a brutal climb, straight up.
Pretty icy.
I was really surprised and happy about how much wind cover we had on this climb. The trees were so dense, it really gave us a good windbreak. You know, standing down there by the river, I was bracing myself to have that whipping, freezing wind fighting us the entire way up. But it wasn't. It was actually pretty lovely. My biggest fear was that we were going to get lost. So I just kept checking over and over again, make sure you're on the trail. Make sure you're on the trail.
Yeah, it's gotta be through that pass.
That's what I was thinking. But we've climbed many drainage ditches before.
I really love it when you find these weird places on a hike. You know, like a sketchy crevice you have to climb into and climb up in and around. It kind of makes you feel like you're in a video game.
We're on trail.
Yeah, I'm just gonna veer to the right. No, there are chickens yet. Cairn! I see a cairn.
Karen?
Not Karen. Cairn.
Karen?
Real cairn. Hey, it's flat. To get lost. The sun's coming out now of the world.
Ooh, check out that hawk.
Oh wow, that's cool. Checking the map, checking it twice. Getting close.
Right.
Let's see. Yep. Loop around the left, and then right. We'll be at Shelf Lake, which I suggest we rest out for a moment unless it's miserable. And then we're going to keep on going to Solitude Lake.
Fitting name. I don't think we've seen a single person on this trail.
I wonder why.
Cool.
This climb was such a straight shot uphill. Tony was such a good sport. He is far happier on a bike or on hockey skates than climbing up a brutal hill. But he didn't complain once. We came to the craziest part of the climb. It was so sheer. I was less concerned about getting up as I was how we were going to get back down.
Might be easier off to the right. There's a little snowy here.
It's gonna suck to descend.
Almost there?
Oh, I might have to invest in trekking poles. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That is something.
We kept climbing, and I just knew any second, I was like, I'm going to turn a corner and there's going to be an incredible view in front of me. It was incredible. The wind was just blowing so hard it tried to take my beanie off my head. You can hardly hear, but the sun came out, and oh my god, just the view. I felt like I walked onto the set of Game of Thrones. And this was Shelf Lake, a beautiful green-blue lake with a frozen-over waterfall behind it. It made you cold just to look at it. The sun was out, the wind was blowing. I can't believe how much foliage grows up here with conditions like this. It's crazy to me. The wind was blowing so hard it was creating little choppy waves on the lake. The sunlight was gone in a blink, and I thought, okay, let's keep moving. We had to pick our way across some rocky terrain. I was probably overly cautious looking at the map up here, but I kept looking for the cairns. The trail was basically non-existent, but we made it to Solitude Lake. It was thrilling up here, but my god, just the whipping wind, the freezing conditions. I don't know why I like it. Arguably, this is miserable. It's freezing. There is wind biting your face, your hands are numb, your legs are stiff, you haven't eaten enough, and there's something about it that is just so free. And then you could see the sky darkening behind Solitude Lake just a bit. And I was like, okay, a storm is rolling in. It happened so fast at this elevation that I knew we needed to get off this mountain. What you don't see in the footage is us losing the trail 3 times and the tense energy of trying to find it again and get the hell off the mountain. Once we got back below the tree line, I really wasn't concerned about the storm anymore. But the descent actually became sketchier the further down we went.
We're on the trail!
It was so slippery. I feel like I was hiking with my butt to the ground for so much of the descent.
You okay?
Oh, yes, good. Huzzah. Ah. Come on, look at man.
How's it worse, the ascent or the descent?
Huh?
Ascent or descent worse?
Neither. Both. They're both bad in their own way. But nothing is as bad as that sketchy ass storm we almost got caught in up there. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Rolling. Yeah, I feel like what's the llama movie where they do the feet to the walls?
Yeah.
Emperor's New Groove. Let's go! My legs are tired. Let's see what we're. 22,000. Getting close though.
22,000?
20,000 steps.
Wow.
Yeah, not so bad. Karen.
Stay on the cairns. Don't get lost. Down you go. At this point, I told Tess that we'd probably be back by 1. And I said, let's make our check-in at 3 p.m. It was 1 o'clock and we were still coming down the hill. I did have a bit of urgency. I didn't think she was going to call search and rescue if we didn't check in right at 3, but we weren't going to have service again until we got back to Estes, and we had 4 miles to go once the trail flattened out. We got back across the river, the sun had come out, and I felt like we were on a completely different trail.
Hey, back to civilization.
Woohoo! I'll walk with them till morning. Out there, the world around me changes. Did you know there's this hiker that was just like out camping, backpacking, middle of nowhere, and was singing at the top of their lungs, and another hiker was near enough to think it was a call for help, so they dispatched search and rescue. We eventually found him, and then Backpacker Mag, I think, wrote an article about it. I don't know why it tickled me.
Must have been a bad singer to think they were in distress.
Well, sounds the same. From a far distance away.
I had a bit of energy going back down the trail. You know, I felt kind of lighthearted with shaky legs. It was a fun feeling. We got back to Jewel Lake. The water was freezing, but you can't beat a sunny Colorado day.
That's cold water.
It was incredible doing this hike in the snow, but this view will never get old. This, to me, is Colorado. This is home. But we made it back to Bear Lake, back to the parking lot, and I was so happy with the hike. I asked Tony at one point why he thought it was we did this. And on this drive back, I think I figured it out. I think I am chasing the experience. And this was one for the books.